Hey, it's Fade. So this is going to be the first video in a series of videos about CSGO and how to get better at it. I'm going to try to do it like in order, basically, like do this first, then do this, then do this, like a roadmap basically to get good at the game. So this one's about aiming, and I'm going to do a couple things first. I'm going to say to download a specific map, which is going to be up here somewhere. I'm going to highlight the name for you guys so you can see it. If you already know what map I'm on, then don't worry about it. You can just skip ahead. Here you go. So that's the map that I use for practicing aim most of the time, and it's really good. So download that. Next, a couple things you really have to understand. First of all, having a perfect 30 bullet spray is not very important, because you can just do this stuff. Those are all kills, okay? So being able to spray transfer and stuff is fancy, but it's not necessary to get, like, I mean, if you're going to be a pro player, yes, you need to be able to spray transfer, but not even every pro player is going to spray transfer. Like, it's actually pretty uncommon to see in games. That's why it's such a hype thing. Like, when you see it happen, you're like, ah, you know? So yeah, that's something. And just remember, it's like 8 bullets. So, next thing, you need to learn how to tap properly. A couple bullets at a time. And then you need to know how to counter strafe. So I'm going to change up my crosshair for this. So notice my crosshair is big and small, but I'm never not using a movement key right now. I'm holding A or D at all times. There's not a, like, I actually just, like, tap it, and there's not a point where I'm not clicking one, okay? Like, I'm holding D, and then I'm holding A, and then I'm holding D, and then I'm holding A. When you see the crosshair get tiny, you're actually accurate. And on someone else's screen, this looks like you're just shooting and running. Like, it looks like you're shooting like before or after you stop for that little direction change. But it's important because let's say there's a corner right in front of me. You can do that. Or let's say you're strafing out to peek somebody. You can stop immediately. Whereas if you just go, see how there's a lot of weird inaccuracies? No weird inaccuracies. And if you look at my, I forgot the command for it. Whatever. If you have velocity showing, which I usually do, I don't know why I don't right now. You can see that you go from whatever to 0 instantly when you tap the opposite direction of whatever you're moving. So forward, you tap S, S, you type W, A, you tap D, D, you tap A, and you just stop moving. And that makes your gun perfectly accurate. Well, as accurate as it can get in this fucking cancerous game. So, yeah. Next thing is how to use this map. So I'm going to fix my crosshair because you should never be playing on this crosshair for any reason. I don't care what anybody says. Now, this is the setting that you're going to want to run for Classic. Okay. All this stuff, right? Shots to kill, whatever, delay 0.25, duration 0.5, and amount 100. Those should be the only values you have to change. These two and then that one up there. And make sure this is a color that contrasts with your crosshairs. So I'm only going to show a couple of these because there's no point in showing more, but okay. So this is out of 100, and if you can get consistently in like 70 or higher, that's all you're going to ever need. Like, yeah, you could go for like 80s, but that's literally pro player doing that. Like, a pro player would get mid 80s on this. So, and you want to stand at the back of the 1 or at the front of the 2. So stand like right here or back here. And then the other one that you can do is intensive fast aiming, which is basically, it's just like following the breadcrumbs, like connecting the dots, okay? And that will end once you see how it says target limit. If it goes to 7 or higher, then it stops, all right? And you fail. So those two things, like practice those always and often before you play, and you'll do well. You want to do some deathmatching community servers, but I'd say after you get your aiming down on this first. So do this like 15 minutes to an hour a day before you play. And then these are like the last two tidbits that are absolutely necessary. So when you're learning CSGO, you have to do one thing at a time. And aim is the most straightforward thing that you can do. Getting your aim good, or like very good, is much easier than getting game sense or, you know, learning nades, basically. Because learning nades isn't just learning how to throw them, it's learning when to throw them. There's no when you want to aim. You always want to be aiming, right? This is like a super easy linear progression you can take to just get good with your aim. So that being said, if you want to get better at this game and you want to follow my advice, which, trust me, I promise you this works. I've had 3 globals. I was A to A+ in ESEA in 2016 before Rank G was introduced. Like, all that kind of shit. Like, I used to be really good at this game when I actually played it. I know how to get to be, like, at that level. Do not use any grenades or any rifle. Don't use a scout. Don't use an op. All right? Don't use an SG. Don't use an AUG. M4s, SMGs, AKs, all that kind of stuff. All right? Because you don't want to be introducing any more complications to your gameplay. You don't want to have a flash out and have some guy peek you and destroy you when you could have just had your crosshair on his face instead. All right? Because that shouldn't happen to you. Right? If you're using nades properly, it won't happen. But unless you're already like global watching this video for some reason, you know, then you can just disregard whatever I've said if you want, because you probably don't need this help. But like anyone who does need help with getting better at the game, don't use nades, don't use ops or scouts or anything like that. Use your basic weapons and work on your aim first. Once your aim is done, then you can move on to those things, and I will make videos about those things. But this on its own, for anybody that's like seeing the video for the first time and needs to work on things, should take you like a month, okay? If you do this for a month, 15 minutes to an hour a day, just like I showed you, switching up those 2 different modes, and learning how to, you know, counter strafe and how to spray a little bit, like first 8 to 10 bullets, and how to tap shoot, right? Your aim will be very impressive relative to whatever it is right now. I promise you. And if it isn't, then you weren't doing this diligently enough. You weren't doing it right. You need to do it more. Okay, because this is how you get your aim to be good. You do this, and then once you have like respectable scores or whatever, then go ahead and go into DM servers. But do this first, no matter what. You do this, then you go into a DM server for like 10 minutes or something, right? So yeah, hopefully this was helpful. And I know a lot of people are going to want like an instant, you know, how to get way better at the game video, but it's not a thing, right? You have to put some work into this. So if you want to play CSGO with your friends and impress them with like, you know, how much better you've gotten, this is the way to do it. After about a week, you'll see a ton of improvement, and then it'll slow down, and it'll probably taper off after about a month. But at that point, it'll be good enough that you're set and you can focus on other things. Because when you have to think about aim, then it's making the rest of your gameplay worse. When your aim is already good and you don't have to worry about it, like you don't have to worry, if I peek this angle, am I going to win the gunfight? You will know you're going to win the gunfight if they're there. You know, then you can worry about how to peek the angle. So anyways, hope this was helpful, and peace out.